Just the three, there's three.
iPad, call-in user 1 and 2.
An iPad. I have iPad.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so we should probably get started, but John Iannuzzi, if I can ask you, has there been any precedents set yet on the state level in regards to this issue of disruptive meetings and identifying yourself in order to be a participant in the meeting?
Bernie, I apologize. I don't really understand the question. The Sunshine Act covers meeting. If a participant is disruptive, the board can always exercise their police power to remove them. Although
Right.
I think from a public policy standpoint, I think it's important that we provide them an opportunity to be heard and instruct them on the meeting rules of civility. That's how I would go about it. But to answer your question directly, I'm unaware of any new case law or decision that has come out.
Okay, so then we basically have to just wing it then. All right.
So I guess, did John hear about our the problem we had previously? So that's what we're trying to work around, was being rudely interrupted by strangers.
Well, public comment on our agenda, there's a public comment, and that's when it would be appropriate for them to make comment. Any other time, you certainly can mute them if it's not their turn to speak, just like you could in a public meeting, gavel them down. It's the same.
Okay.
Okay, I have just written Brian that essentially we're still a work in progress.
Mhm.
We'll let him know when we get the kinks worked out.
All right, so with that, let me call the meeting to order. I just need to open up with, in the absence of Mike Snyder as the co-chair, I'll be hosting reading this evening. So I'd like to call this October 19, 2020 meeting of West Vincent Township Board of Supervisors to order. And the first business at hand is the approval of the minutes from September 21, 2020.
And for some reason, we are being asked to table them until November 16th. Kathy or John, could you tell us?
Yes. I haven't had a chance to finish them yet since I was out at that time. So I have to take them off of the actual recording.
I make the motion to table the September 21, 2020 minutes to be approved at the November 16th, 2020 Board of Supervisors meeting.
I'll second that motion. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye,
Aye. Okay.
thank you.
Police report. I believe Sergeant Russell was here to give a police report.
He was.
He's here. There he is.
I just unmuted.
Oh,
For training in September, we had traffic and criminal software tracks, and also firearms qualification and training. The summary totals are number of calls for service, 160. Numbers of crimes investigated, 12. Number of arrests, 2. Possession with the intent, drug paraphernalia, possession of controlled counterfeit substance, numerous traffic violations, also trespassing. Number of traffic stops was 46. Number of accidents investigated was 5.
okay.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much, Sergeant Russell. Next on the agenda is the bills list. Any comment?
I'll make the motion to approve the bills list in the amount of $322,004.06. It doesn't match the minutes, the motions that you had, Bernie, because we added in an escrow release at the
Okay.
last minute.
Okay. I'll second the motion. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Yep.
Okay, passed. Next is the treasurer's report.
Okay, am I unmuted? Yes. So This month, for the month ending September 30th, in the general fund, we have an ending fund balance of $3,164,362.42. I give a 2020 budget summary as of September 2020. Let's see. The month ending September 30th, in open space, we have an ending fund balance of $2,480,813.95. Again, with a budget summary. Capital project reserve, month end September 30th, we have an ending fund balance of $785,167.28. Capital Road, ending fund balance of $4,770,337.47. Liquid fuels, ending fund balance, $186,382.75. Sewer, ending fund balance of $48,510.04. Escrows, $333,985, sorry, 26 cents. That's it.
Very good. Thank you much.
Anyone have any questions, comments? Yvonne, did you have are you raising your hand?
A different issue. Is there any way that I can see how this month's police report compares to other months? Totally different from what you're doing, but it took me a while to figure out how to unmute myself.
That's okay. I just asked Austin Russell to unmute himself so he can ask that. If not, we might have to get back to you with that.
If you, getting back to me is fine. I just want to know how, if we're going up, down, and I know months are different, but I want to know.
Austin, did you hear that question?
Yeah, I believe that all the police reports are listed on the website at every meeting, right? They're still up there. If you go to the calendar for West Vincent website.
So, okay.
I don't think those are put up on the calendar.
Yeah, I think they might be in the police department section.
Okay.
Okay, so.
Okay, I'll look around for them some more,
Miss,
but it just occurred to me that I would like to know
okay, Miss,
how where we are in the world.
Miss, what you can do is you can call us tomorrow. If you call us during business hours and you speak to Ruth McVeigh, the police secretary, she
Okie
can give you
dokie.
the information you're looking for, okay?
Thank you. I may well do that tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay, any more questions on the treasurer's report?
Danny, hands up.
Okay,
Nobody?
seeing none, let's move on. Manager's report. John?
Aside from the matter of the items on the agenda, I worked on the preparation of the budget, worked with the road, Mike Hogan on the road program for next year. I also worked on a personnel manual, social media policy, and personnel and some of the website updates for next year. That's all.
Okay, very good. Any questions for John Granger, the manager?
Not seeing any.
Not seeing any. Okay, so I see no announcements, no correspondence, and no presentations tonight. So let's move on to old business.
Bernie,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
this is John Inuzzi. For old business, I just want to advise the board that I would advise them to listen, but not to make any statements on this matter. It's a private boundary dispute, subject of potential litigation. So certainly by all means, you can listen to the presentation or the questions, but do not engage in any comments on it.
Very good, thank you.
There's only one party to the dispute on the call, so maybe this just gets tabled.
Well,
Um,
no, I think it's
no.
all right to hear them, but just not to make any affirmative comments at this, on
Sarah?
the matter.
Kathy, go
Sarah,
ahead.
Austin, Steve Austin is also on.
Right, I
yeah,
saw
and
him, but I didn't see Wheeler.
Wheeler was here.
Yeah, I thought I saw it.
Yeah, he is. He's there with Barry.
Oh, okay.
Again, they certainly entitled to state any opinions that they want, but from the board's perspective, I would advise them to just take it under advisement and not to make any statements at this time.
Great, thank you. But let me open the floor to either Steve Austin or Wheeler Amon if you want to say something.
You got those, Michelle?
Okay, we up? Can you hear?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you, Barry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Wheeler.
Yeah, thank you. I'm concerned that I've been before you several times, and each time it's the engineers that are going to come and take a look at the problems we have down Ford Road. And so far, nobody's even contacted me about coming and surveying the situation. Have I missed a meeting, or is he just too busy to come?
I don't have that answer for you.
John, do you? John Granger?
Well, until we recently received the plans from respective parties, I think it'd be an opportunity after the engineer looks at those for a meeting to occur, but it was not advantageous to meet until we had documentation to review at the site.
Thank you.
The plans for what?
The surveys that you
Your
provided.
plan that you submitted and the plan that Steve Austin submitted to the township.
I'm not sure. Are you talking about the right thing here? We're talking about the
Yeah.
several problems down Ford Road. One is the other is the location, and a very important one is the pile of wood that's right in the right of way.
Did you submit
Well-
the plan, the property? Did you give him the property drawing that you had?
No,
Barry, I'm not hearing you. Can you get closer to the microphone?
Well, I'm asking him if he supplied a plan and he says no, and the manager is saying he has. Did you receive a plan from Wheeler on the property?
I believe we have, yes.
And you say you have not submitted the drawing?
well,
for the
who
property?
did it come from?
You,
No.
you had,
What does that consist of then?
I believe that you had provided documentation to Tracy, the zoning officer, which she has made a copy of, or in the process of making a copy of. We have a copy of a plan from Mr. Austin. And at some point, we'll sit down and go over the plans and come meet with you at the site. Did you not
Would that be
provide
sooner than
documentation to Tracy?
Did you submit a plan to them? The plan of the property?
I submitted a survey. Is that
Okay,
what-
you did submit that. Okay, you did
Yes.
submit
Yes.
that survey. Okay, got it.
Got it, all right?
By the way, real quick interruption, Brian Curry can't get on. They're not letting him on for some reason when he's trying to call in. So there's somebody trying to get into the meeting that can't get in.
Are they, so that, I have a message to everyone in the waiting room that they need to give us their first and last name and address to be admitted
It's not asking for it.
for security reasons. And there's 2 caller users.
Yeah, there's no asking. It hasn't asked for it. It hasn't said anything.
If he could, can he change his name? Because I can't, for security reasons, unless we know name and address.
How does he do that? Because he said it's not asking him anything. It's just a phone. He's calling in.
Kathy, what do you think?
I don't know. Which is he? Call-in user 1 or 2?
Or iPad? It's definitely not iPad?
I can certainly check. I'll find out.
Yeah, find out which one he is and then I'll let him in.
that the engineer?
The engineer's down here. He's the manager. So continue with your conversation with him.
All right,
about-
I'm going to keep you off mute until, I'm not going to mute you until you hear.
Okay, so anything else you have to address with him?
Okay, I'm not sure where I go from there. We have four major problems down there that we're trying to get attention to. One is the road has to get back on the right of way where it's supposed to be. And two is the pile of wood that I talked about that they have deliberately piled on the right of way below the concrete barrier. And that's part of the road, and they have half of it blocked. And then when you go around it, you don't know where you are. Or you're on private property or you're on the right of way. There's a desire that we have to have the water, the storm water that comes in great quantities down the road and goes on towards French Creek, to have that put into pipes and go down there, rather than what the wood pile does is diverts it into our woods. And this is not acceptable. There also should be a retaining wall along the kennel property to keep the stones from washing off of that and the erosion. I think when Bernie was down there, he made note of that the building is actually hanging over the right of way at the very front edge. And there should be a retaining wall to keep that material from going into the right of way and then washing right now into our woods. And if the retaining wall was put there, it would keep the stones from migrating from where they're supposed to be.
Wheeler, I think they have all that. The big question is, when will the engineer be able to come out and meet with them? That's really what it comes down to. I don't want to take up any more time than we have to.
That's a good point.
Right. If it's this week, it'll be late this week, but I would suspect to be sometime next week.
Okay, you got your answer.
Okay.
So you'll be contacting him on it. You'll be ready to go.
Yes,
And would he deal with the wood problem, getting that moved?
He'll look at it.
we'll look at the situation, okay?
Okay, thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, John.
Yes. Right.
Okay, any more discussion on the old business? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to new business. Scott Risbin's 670 Bertrand Road, permission for site work.
Yes, hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Oh, great. Thank you. I just wanted to kind of give you a quick, brief order of where we're at with the magnitude of the barn project. This is 670 Bertrand Road. It is the 4 apartment unit barn that you guys have approved essentially. We had a conference call last week with Kathy, myself, Tracy Franny, and Brian Kolakowski. And essentially we have clean letters from both Brian and from Tracy, with the exception of one small item from Tracy, and that is the Historic Commission granted us approval to do everything that we wanted to do. And pre-COVID, they said the only thing that we would like to see is the storefront and how you're going to do the storefront. And what the storefront in their eyes was just a small area right in the front where we would walk into the building, like our front entrance. We were going to come back to a meeting, and then COVID happened, obviously. What I'm here today requesting from you, and I'm going to obviously give some stuff back as well, is I'm asking that you supervisors sign my plan so I can go get it recorded, so that I can then get permission from Brian Kolakowski to go ahead and put in our public sewer, which we have the approvals for, because there's a timing issue when it comes to paving, and we're starting to get up against that timing issue because we have to cross underneath Bertrand Road, and then we'll have to there'll be a small area that has to be replaced, but I really don't want it to be done poorly after the window for paving, and that's usually in the month of November, right around the middle of November. So what I was hoping is that you guys could do that. And then what I would agree to do is to sign an agreement that says, I will go back to the Historic Commission meeting in November. They only meet once a month. That's where the whole problem is. And I will go back in front of them with the whole plan that is completed to get their blessing. And before I wouldn't assume that you guys would allow me to rent any of those units until I have their blessing. This is sort of a chicken and an egg issue, unfortunately, in that we have everything done. And Kathy can speak to this because she was on that conference call. We have everything done with the exception of this one very, very small item. And if we have to wait for another month and a half to do the work that we need to do, it's just not the right time of year. So what I was hoping is that if you guys can sign the plan, I'll record the plan. That will satisfy Mr. Kolakowski's land development. And then all I'll have to do is go to the Historic Commission meeting. Sorry it was so convoluted and rambling, but it's been a long time since I came before you guys.
If I can jump in here, Harriet, you're on the Historic Commission, is that correct?
Members of the board, may I advise you on this matter?
Go ahead, please.
So first, there is some outstanding issues in the last review letter from the township engineer that have not been addressed yet, which the plan would have to be revised to reflect those changes. There's also an FSA and an LDA that still has not been effectuated yet. There's also a trail easement that has to be drafted, and we're still waiting for legal descriptions to be revised to be able to draft that. There's also the Historical Commission has concerns about, I shouldn't say concerns, but we have to hear their sign off on the architectural features for the facade of the front of the building, which typically that goes with an architectural features covenant that runs with the land. There's case law out there when you release a plan to be recorded and those issues, public improvements, what have you, are not addressed with a proper land development, financial security posted, that it's on the municipality to undertake those things. So unfortunately, and I know, Mr. Rissman, that you have dropped off the escrow, but the agreement has not been in place yet. So I think we are almost there. I think we're getting close. But the question is, if the board signs off on today, one, your plans aren't ready to be recorded because they have to be revised to reflect those issues in the latest review letter from the township engineer. And two, they would be essentially putting the cart before the horse because the Historical Commission hasn't weighed in on what they want that front of the building to look like. I think at best case, what we can do is we can get the LDA, FSA, the trail easement, and we can even have the architectural features covenant drafted. But I just don't see any other way you doing this without cleaning up your plans to address those issues in the review letter, going to the Historical Commission, and then coming back to the board for their sign off. That is the proper way of doing it. Brian, if you want to chime in here, feel free.
Sure, I can just give a quick synopsis of what's outstanding on the plans. It's basically revising the plans to bring the dates current on permits and outside agency approvals so they're all listed, and then revising the legal descriptions at the end so the dates of the legal descriptions that get recorded with these easements will match the dates of the plan they were now. Right now, the legal descriptions that I approved back in April are dated in April, and they're referencing a plan now that it doesn't exist because the plan now is referenced is a revision in September. It's minor stuff, but the plans all need to be dated properly. So everything is recorded with proper dates on it. There's nothing as far as comments to change any material comments of the plans. It's just dates and adding more dated information to the plan for recording.
Ernie, Peter Benton is here. He's the chairman of the Historic Commission.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Peter Benton, Chairman of the Historical Commission. The Historical Commission approved the architectural drawings and the landscape plan last January with the intent that the project could go ahead and be approved by the township with the exception of the entranceway, which is important, but it's a minor issue that can be resolved as we go forward. It would greatly concern me that that would hold up any overall approval by the township. We intended to do our approval so the project could proceed.
Yes, and your approval, you'll be able to do at your meeting in November.
Well, we intended that the approvals we gave in January would be sufficient for the project to proceed because the entrance is a detail that we can work out with the applicant. It's not germane to any other issue. And
But I think we've gotten to the point in the project flow that you need to do that approval before he goes further. Is that what you're saying, John?
I'm saying there's a few outstanding. It's not just the historical commission. The LDA, the FSA still has to be signed off on and effectuated by all the parties. The trail easement legal description has to be revised. That has to be signed off by all the parties. And the plans have to be cleaned up to address those issues. Subject to all that, from what Brian says, if the historical commission feels that they don't want to hold it up, I guess the only issue with that would be you could essentially have a plan that's been recorded, and then when it goes back before the historical commission, there may be a disconnect from your board and the historical commission. But if he's the president of the historical commission and has no issues with that, then that would be a minor issue. I would want to know, how do they protect those historical features running with the land? I would assume they would want to do some type of architectural features covenant that gets recorded against the property, so any future owners has to abide by what you agreed to. Is that correct?
is that a question to me?
Yes.
I'm not aware of any covenants that are necessary. What we're approving is the architectural design. I'm not even sure that gets recorded.
Well, Peter, another thing that was discussed today when John and I were on a call, Brian Kulikowski was there, was about putting a facade easement on the barn to carry with the property in perpetuity, essentially. And I said Peter is an architect, so he could probably help us draft up whatever ought to be put in the paperwork. So once you have a frontage, a facade that meets your standards, then we would want to codify it in whatever the appropriate record is.
And I'd be happy to, that's news to me. I would certainly support a facade easement, and I'd be happy to help draft it. But I still don't feel that the work that we're going to be looking at on the facade is all new work. It's a limited area, and I don't want it to hold up the project.
Did you see the pictures that were sent out today?
No.
Okay. They weren't sent out until like 4:30 or something, so.
Scott has his hand up.
Yes. First of all, thank you very much, everybody, for hearing me on this. I think what we're really missing here is we have satisfied the lion's share of what we need to satisfy. And I do agree with you, John, that we do have, I did call your office a few times to try to set up that. I met with Michelle, and I have the check for the bonded money. I think that I'm just asking that I get, it's chicken and egg at this point, and I'm really kind of messed up, especially when it comes to the timing. Everybody who walks by that project says, wow, when are you going to do something here? Because I can't do anything on the outside of the building. I'm running out of good weather, and I really want to do this work, and I want to finish this project. This project has been going on for a very long time. I completely understand that there are legal ease, but I also understand that in other townships I've worked at, we've been able to work through some problems.
Where are you with your outside permits? Are all those outside permits addressed and satisfied?
Yes. Brian, do you want to speak to that?
So my 3 outstanding comments in the letter are: 1, copies of all the permits must be provided and then documented on the plans when they're recorded. And that's one outstanding item. Second outstanding item is just updating the dates of the letter. And the third item in my letter is the FS Financial Security Agreement / Land Development Agreement, so they can be recorded. Like we spoke about on Thursday, Scott, once that information that you get me, the plans with all the dates are correct, I issue a letter, and this can happen as early as later this week or early next week, to the board, to the township, saying bring this many sets of plans in, and I write the basically ready for recording letter. Then when everything is ready to record with your FSA and that, then you get the documents to record. That's your, we talked about it on Thursday.
No, I know. No.
And-
I guess where I have an issue is I just wasn't. I was hoping I didn't have to wait another month to have the Historic Commission meet about this item that the president of the Historic Commission is saying is not a game changer that's going to shut down the project. If we could possibly do something wherein I get everything together that I need to get for you, all my documents, and get everything to you, can we please get the plan signed so I can do the public sewer and the pavers and all that kind of stuff? I guess that's my question.
Scott, would you have no objections to an architectural features covenant running against the property to protect the front facade to look the way the Historical Commission?
I have no problem with that, as long as we can do it in a quick manner, because I've been,
Okay.
Um,
So I would say if Brian's okay, if he's satisfied, if his issues get satisfied, I will personally draft the FSA, LDA, and the trail easement tomorrow for you.
That'd be great. Thank you.
And then I will get the architectural features covenant drafted where we just put in that exhibit on, and that gets recorded. If you sign off on that and we just have to wait for the exhibit to be attached, that may save you some time. I would be okay with that if this board is okay with making it some type of motion subject to the approval of the Historical Commission at a later date. John, would you have a problem with that? And Brian, would you have a problem with that?
I'll let John answer first.
Well, I'm a guy who I'm a process guy, and you have a process, and I really hate deviating from a process because there's always a guy coming behind you. No offense, and he's going to be wanted treated the same way. So, getting the documents, getting them signed, and getting executed by the applicant, and updating the plans is fine, but still want the board to review making sure everything's fine, make sure Brian reviews the plans, brings them in, and he can send a letter saying it's okay to execute them, and coming back at the next meeting and executing the plans at that time. You don't know what the Historic Commission is going to do. You don't know if that's proposals are going to be acceptable or not. And is it, I don't like leaving things outstanding, especially on any plan. And it's just the way I feel.
And when is the historical, what's the timeline if we follow the process? The Historical Commission meets?
They meet in the second week of November. The board meets the third week in November.
Okay. So
so that's essentially a month away before I can even start any of my work. And then I'm up against it. I have to go in front of Ken Cavanaugh, who works for PennDOT, and beg for permission to put the road crossing in. And I think that I don't know how to get through this any other way than to ask that we work this out.
Bernie, do you see Peter has his hand up?
Do I see that Peter has his hand up?
Could you unmute?
Yeah,
Unmute Peter, please.
I hit ask.
Yeah, thank you. We have obviously not seen any design for the front entrance yet, and there's no guarantee that if we see a design at the first meeting in November, that we'll approve it. So it might take a month, it might take weeks. I just say that I don't want the Historical Commission's review of the front entrance to be an impediment to the progress of the project as a whole. Thank you.
From John, and John, I know you had asked me how I feel about this.
Yes, bro.
The front entrance that they're talking about will not have any impact to the engineering plan because it's strictly a cosmetic / architectural historical feature that they'll be working out how it visually looks. The plan of entry has been approved in the building plan. This is the way it physically looks from the outside. So this is strictly an architectural visual element that if it can be worked out between Scott and the township for the path forward, once all the documents are in place, I do not have an issue issuing the recording letter to the township saying that plans are ready for recording, because this what you're talking about will not even appear on the plans because it is a strictly visual architectural element to the outside of the building.
Bud has his hand up.
I'm sort of behind on this project. When I drove by and saw what you have there, it didn't look like a very deep alcove at the entrance, and it has two very narrow doors. Are those two doors going one to each of two apartment entrances inside? What, is there a copy of the plans inside, external and internal, in the township that I could look at tomorrow? Because I'm not sure what you've done there, Scott.
Can I speak?
Please.
Okay, great. So just to kind of give you a little bit of the history of where we're at now with the project, we literally are in drywall now. All of the units have been drywalled. We're starting painting the first unit on Thursday of this week. So we're pretty far along with the project, but that said, I don't see us being done until sometime in late December-ish. So all of this can be worked out. I guess, again, my only question is, can I dig across the road while it's suitable? I mean, I'm trying to do what's right here, and it seems like we're being held up with some technicalities. Now, that said, to answer your question, Sarah, the architectural plans should be in the office. They were the last time I knew. There was a big box.
Okay.
If not, Brian Kolakowski has it in his office in Westchester. And the plan did show 2-man doors, which were like, these are farm style doors. That's what we like, farmhouse style doors, 2-man doors, and they open up, and then you walk in, and there are like mirror images on the right-hand side. So you'll have right and left-hand side. On the left-hand side, you'll have what we're calling Unit A, which is a 3-bedroom apartment, and then you'll have Unit B, and then there's obviously party walls in between them. And then you'll have Unit C, which is a 2-bedroom apartment, and then you'll have Unit D, which is a 3-bedroom apartment. So
but
again,
those are they all?
and then they all have their own separate doors inside.
One door into the common foyer?
Yes, ma'am. There's 2 foyers. Essentially,
Okay,
there's 2 foyers.
Yeah, once you started describing the 3rd and 4th apartment, those were being accessed from a different door.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I don't want to get too specific on this question, but I'd like to know if the check that you have that you said was for the bond money, does it include any of the aged receivables?
Aged receivables. Are there aged receivables out there?
Is there money that you owe the township? Yes.
Okay, then I'll absolutely pay that as well. Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, the check you provided was the escrow to guarantee the.
For $92,000, and that was reviewed and approved by Brian.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's a construction escrow. That's not an escrow for the other.
Well,
Okay,
but but that's previously done. So what are we talking about with the check for the bond money?
so correct me if I'm wrong here, but the escrow check that you dropped off, Scott, was for a construction escrow. Per the approval resolution, before plans can be released, all outstanding fees must be paid to the township. All documents have to be executed.
Okay.
So really what we have here is a issue with the timing of the sign off from this board and the historical commission. When I'm hearing from the historical commission that it may not happen in November, their sign off. What we could do, and again, it's up to the administration and the board, is we could have all the documents in place. You can sign off on this architectural features covenant, subject to satisfaction of the historical commission, have that ready to go. The only issue is we won't have that vetted with the historical commission before November. So it's really a question of, do you want, and what I'm hearing from the township engineer is that they're minor issues. But what I'm hearing from the township manager, he would like to keep the process the same for everyone, so you don't start a precedent, which is a very valid concern. So ultimately, it's the board's call. But to me, I see merit on both sides. I think personally, I would err on the side of following the process and the procedures and getting all the documents shelf ready to go. let them go to the historical commission, let the historical commission weigh off. If it's as minor as they're saying, then there shouldn't be an issue. Come back to the board, approve it. What you're really talking in a matter of 3 weeks. That's what we're talking. And then the policy and the procedure is upheld. That would be my recommendation.
Kathy, can you post the photograph of the front of the barn?
I don't,
Can you share that?
I don't have it with me.
Have it at home?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kathy, I can share it if you can let me share my screen.
Okay, hang on just a second.
And I think John was wanting to talk, John Granger. No, just waving.
I'm fine.
Go ahead, Brian.
Took the words out of my mouth.
Give me 1 second. It's opening up.
Can I speak while it's opening up?
Mm-hmm.
So the Peter, if you recall, I did show some of the doors that I had purchased, the barn doors that I had purchased, and we discussed doing this to make it look as if they would, be able to slide in and you know what I mean, like barn doors would slide in. We have since then painted the rest of it today. We just got it up on Friday of last week because of the rain. No, I'm sorry, Saturday. That's why you got the pictures late. We had our conference call, I think it was Thursday. And I said, look, I'm going to try to put something there so that they can see what we have going on.
Peter?
So did you guys see the picture I have up?
Yes,
Just make
thank
sure.
you.
Okay.
And they're not completed. I just want you to know. I mean, we're still, it's a work.
So Scott, you said painted, did you paint it a different color than the gray and white and red that we see?
Well, the interior portions where
No,
they're
I'm talking about the facade, just what we see in the picture.
I have not painted that, no ma'am. We're
Okay.
planning to do that this week when we have some better weather.
And how would you be painting it this week?
We matched the doors with the roof and the barn siding that we had agreed to do with the Historic Commission. We just painted the back panels red, so that it's all red. Those barn doors are just red.
Okay, thank you. Peter? Is Peter still muted?
Let me see.
I got it.
Okay.
So I'm seeing this for the first time. We did discuss a number of things way back in January. This is not what we would have envisioned happening here. And so that's why I'm saying that I think that it might take some discussion about.
Peter, would I be able to meet with somebody out on the site and not wait for a month to?
Well, what might be
have a
good,
meeting?
yes, I think that we can arrange to have some sort of subcommittee conversations
That'd be great.
to try and move things forward, but this is a lot different. First of all, you shouldn't have constructed anything without having a review. And this is a lot different than what we were actually talking about verbally. Now, we were just verbal, things might have misunderstood each other, but I do remember you talking about doors, but visually this is a lot different. So I think it's going to take some work, but we're happy to meet with you with the subcommittee in between.
Yeah, I mean, they were just literally bolted on. It's not like they're permanently affixed. It's nothing that.
Well, I don't want to go into the design now in front of and hold up the meeting, but
Sure.
I would say that.
So members of the board, I think that's a great idea. So why don't, Scott, you worked with the subcommittee of the Historical Commission now, so you're not wasting any time. In the meantime, I will get on the FSA, LDA, trail easement, and the architectural features covenant and get that to you. On your end, you need to get your engineer to revise the legal descriptions for the trail easement and clean up the plans. And hopefully we can have everything shelf ready for you in November. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but there's a process and we need to honor the process because we don't want to establish a precedent that can come back and hurt us in the future.
John, I'm going to suggest that our treasurer send Scott his outstanding balance statement so he knows what I'm looking at.
Okay.
Okay. And Scott, what's your cell number? I'll call you tomorrow to
Great.
start on these agreements.
It's 610-637-1975.
I'll call you first thing in the morning. We'll get started right away on this.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you all. If there's no other discussion on this, we're going to move on to, let's see, the acceptance of resignations of Susan Natas and from Parks and Rec and Thomas F. Dolcinos from EAC.
And I think we just acknowledged that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
thank
correct.
you.
That's my motion. All right. So it was stated and we have acknowledged. Number 8, approval of the Laserfish Cloud System proposal. Sarah?
I make the motion to accept the proposal from Scantech for the Laserfish Cloud Management System in the amount of $2,300 for the first year and $1,800 annually starting the second year.
I'll second that motion.
And then John will explain.
Right now, this data is stored on a server in the township. Scantech has indicated that Laserfish will no longer support actively this data storage on a hard drive. And the industry as a whole are all moving to the cloud. So if this moves to the cloud, we eliminate all the aggravation that everybody has to deal with managing a server. The storage is, they have a much more robust, disaster recovery program. It doesn't cost a lot of money. When you look at the cost of server, this will probably save itself over the next 10 years. Much better. And it allows remote access, which sometimes is difficult with the server.
Thank you.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none?
Hang on.
Oh.
David,
When might that go on, be accessible to everybody, up and running?
Yes. When?
Yes.
Probably within 2 weeks. They have to migrate the existing data on the storage device in the township first, and then they can, once that's updated on the cloud, then they can take all the data they currently have that is not on the storage device, everything they have scanned, and then they can add that to it, and then make sure it works, and then it'll be available. I would say it could probably take a week to do that.
Dave, I think John's being a little optimistic because we're talking about how we would provide access to our committee people and how do we safeguard the data.
Right.
And I'm not sure I have all the answers. So slow learner that I am, it could take longer than a week or two. So that's all.
Okay.
We're working on it, but we don't have a date. Thank you, John.
Okay.
Michelle, if I can count on you to let me know that nobody else has their hand raised.
I don't see anything.
Okay.
Aye.
All in favor? Aye, thank you. Next is approval of stone wall proposal, Flowing Springs Road culvert.
I make the motion to approve the proposal of Vince McClatchy Stonework, Inc. for the amount of $14,800 for the rebuild of the stone walls on the bridge on Flowing Springs Road.
And I'll second that motion.
Chairman, the Public Works Department sorted out 3 proposals from stone masons to actually it's to repair the existing wall around the influent and outfluent pipe at the culvert at that crossing. The roads are it's crumbling. It's in very serious disrepair, and this work would stabilize the culvert itself and the supporting 6 or 8 inches at the road. Highway Department will construct a pedestrian railing when the work is done.
And
part of a project that was
Yvonne has her hand up.
yeah, this was a project that was identified several years ago, and because the contractor will rig his work so that he will not be in the stream, it will not require a permit from the state. And that saves probably $20,000 or $30,000 worth of paperwork costs.
Thank you. Having been down there today, I recollect that some of the damage was caused by accidents. So I think we want to put some of those little reflectors up on either end.
Yes, we will.
Because that's clearly, from the look of it, I sort of remember the car that went off the road and probably took half of the facade with it. So, thanks.
Right.
Yvonne, did you?
Where exactly are we talking about on Flowing Springs Road? Is this?
This is just, Yvonne, this is just down the hill from the Cafe Post Office towards you. And it's the first stream crossing you come to.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Certainly.
Joe, anybody else?
I don't see anybody.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Next is proposed public safety building approval for the proposal from KCBA, Hatfield, BA.
I make the motion to approve the proposal of KCBA to provide professional services at a cost of 5.25% of the contracted price for the proposed public safety building.
I'll second the motion. And John, if I can call on you to.
I haven't been here long enough to know how long this has been discussed, but I will tell you, the police department, as you know, is working out of 3 or 4 closets. They have a female officer, and we don't have a separate locker room for her, which is a minor issue. We took proposals from 3 firms that have done the work in the public sector work and have done police station work. They're all reasonably well experienced. KCBA is probably the most experienced in the field. I have not worked with any of the firms in the past. You know, they come very well recommended by their client base. Their fees are reasonable. They will do a study for working with the board for cost of $2,500 to determine the feasibility of the project. If the board decides then to accept the work, to move forward with the project, that $2,500 will be part of their fee for construction. If the board decides that they don't want to move forward with it, then that is the cost that the township will incur in the entire project. I think it's a very reasonable approach. I feel comfortable with the firm. The chief and I interviewed all 3 firms, and I've done some little additional research on them. I just feel comfortable with the firm, and the chief as well, as he sent a memo around on that issue as well.
Any discussion?
I'm glad this project is moving forward.
Hear, hear. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, carried. Next is adoption of resolution 20-2020, payment of state aid for pension fund plan.
I make the motion to adopt resolution number 20-2020, payment of state aid for the pension plan.
And I'll second that motion.
Aaron, this is
Thank you.
a motion you should do every year. It allocates the state aid between the non-uniformed employees plan and the police plan. Non-uniform employees plan has a contribution rate of 5% of compensation. Police has it's called a minimum municipal obligation. It's MMO, which is the absolute minimum you have to pay. We're talking about the 2020 plan year. You adopted a resolution last year stating that your MMO for 2020 would be X number of dollars. You always work ahead so you have that money in your budget. State aid, when you do the math, the compensation was sufficient to cover the 5%. So the balance went into the police pension plan, and that exceeded the MMO. So the difference between what the MMO is and what you put in will go to reduce your unfunded liability the next time the pension plans are audited and there's evaluation done. So it's a standard thing the state looks for. It's a required resolution. So everybody follows the flow of cash. It has to be adopted by the board by the end of October. We're in October, right?
Yes, October. The year has been a funny one to keep track of.
Any discussion?
See anything?
All right, hearing none.
Aye.
Favor? Aye. Okay. Let's see. Next is the Chester County Tax Collection Committee appointment.
I make the motion to appoint John Granger as the West Vincent representative to the Chester County Tax Collection Committee.
I'll second that motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would recommend the board consider not appointing an individual, but appointing a position.
Oh,
Okay. Therefore, if I leave the township,
then we wouldn't have to change it every
you wouldn't
time.
have to change it. Okay. This committee is formed as a requirement by the state a number of years ago. Every municipality, I believe, has a representative on the committee. They are the ones who selected the tax collection firm for every municipality in the county for the earned income. So everybody has the same firm, the same data set. So I would be the township manager, township representative on that committee.
Okay. So
Bernie, would you like me to modify my motion?
yes, please do.
I make the motion to appoint the West Vincent Township Manager as representative to the Chester County Tax Collection Committee.
And I'll second that motion. We discussed.
No discussion. Maybe somebody, maybe Jamie wants the job or something.
Okay, let's see. We need to set the special meeting date for the presentation of the 2021 budget.
This is exciting. This would be a workshop, I believe. I make a motion to set the meeting date of November 9th, 2020, which is a Monday, November 9th, for the presentation of the 2021 draft budget.
Okay, because November 2nd is the night before our election, and therefore we would butt up against. And so we're moving our
workshop
meeting to the following. Okay.
Yes.
I'll second that motion. I have a question. John Granger, do we need to republish that?
Yeah, the meeting has to be advertised, yes.
Advertised, okay. And do we have enough time to advertise it?
Yes, you do.
Okay, and so you'll be able to take care of that. All right, any discussion on the matter?
Don't see anything.
Okay, very good.
So,
in favor? Aye.
Except that I think what John's going to do is present it to us. We will have a chance to ask him questions about it. And after that meeting, it will be posted for public comment. Is that correct?
Yes, because it, this budget's a little bit different than the one you had in the past. So I thought it would be appropriate for me to present the budget to the board, take some minor comments if you want to have some general comments on it, but the public discussion would occur at the subsequent meeting, which time the board could adopt the budget on a preliminary basis or schedule another meeting where it has to be adopted on a preliminary basis in November, and then the board could adopt the final budget just before Christmas.
Okay, I think we already voted, Bernie.
All in favor? Oh, we did?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can vote again.
Okay, approval of the Bryn Coed change order number 8, decommission of deep water well. A point was, go ahead, Sarah.
No, do you want me to read the motion first?
Yeah.
Okay, I make the motion to approve the Bryn Coed change order number 8 to Reclaim Company in the amount of $4,825.
I'll second the motion. And I'm going to ask why this was not seen back when they first did their analysis of what needed to be done. It seems to me that it's something they could have easily determined.
Included in their bid, right?
Yeah, why was it not in their bid? And unfortunately, John, you were not here at the time. So you wouldn't.
Brian, are you still here?
Brian
Yeah,
has.
Brian's
his
still here.
hand up. Yeah, he's waiting.
Yes, I'm here, so
good.
I can answer you the question. So
Okay.
the documentation that we found, the historical documentation and everything we were told by people that worked at Britton Cove, everything else, there was 2 wells. One well is the one that we capped. It's in the little well house that's down below the pond. The other well was in natural lands in the preserve lands. Now they just decommissioned that one. We knew of the 2 wells, one for each house. They were in the bid to decommission. This well was found in the bottom of the water vault that was 14 feet underground. We found it when they started pulling the equipment out of the water vault. They found this well under the water vault. So this well was not on any of the documentation that we had access to.
Okay, so there's no way that they could have determined before time
No.
that it
The
was.
only way we would have noticed, we would have started, this is one of the things we found as we started pulling things out of the ground, they found this.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
All
this
right.
was in the bottom of that water vault that was under the main, in the deep water vault that was in the ground in front of the main barn that was 14 feet in the ground.
Okay.
I have a question about what does a main water vault do for the barn?
So that water vault was where the entire water system for the complex was filled and pressurized from. They had 2 giant 20,000 gallon pressure tanks.
And it
air
came out of
compressors,
that
and then,
well.
and they didn't come out of this well. This well was not listed on any of the plans. The well that was supposed to, that fed according to all the plans we had access to, the well that fed the complex was a 6-inch well that was down in that well house that's still standing.
Yeah, okay.
This was a
Thank you.
2-inch well that they just found. Nobody knew about this.
Thank you.
It wasn't, yes.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Let's see. Next is approval of Bryn Coed change order number 9, and that's going to be the confirmation of substantial completion date.
Yes. So
Let me make the motion, Brian, then
Sorry.
you can tell us. I make the motion to approve Grid Code change order number 9, confirmation of a substantial completion date of November 27th, 2020. At no cost, by the way.
I'll second the motion.
So change order 6 and 7 were the change orders that were given for the asbestos removal. And so they were unknown at the time we gave them. They gave us with an estimated fee not to exceed, which they all stayed under, but they couldn't give us a timing of calendar days for the contract due to how the scope of the work. They didn't know how it was going to take to actually excavate and get the asbestos out of the ground. That was one of them. And it was a 900-foot long pipe they found in the ground under the main barn. And the other one was the extra vaults they had, the vault they found they had a pump. So that they didn't know how long that was going to take. They couldn't get a firm estimate on the pumping and the cleaning. So we decided to, when we put through those change orders, it was discussed and agreed upon that we were just going to do the change order, and then we would monitor the site and add that number of days to the contract based upon the number of days they were down based on that. And we monitored 13 days. So they agreed to the 13 days. And that's why this change order now is to set the contract substantial completion date to be November 27th for the contract.
Okay.
And you think they're going to beat it?
I think they're going to beat it.
Good.
Just so you know, I do have a meeting. We're trying to schedule a meeting this coming Wednesday with the Conservation District to discuss the stabilization parameters so they can start getting it seeded to get it growing.
Okay,
I'm
Good.
waiting to hear back from the Conservation District if they will join us on Wednesday.
thank you.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Let's see. Where it's 16. Approval of Bryn Coed payment recommendation number 8 to Reclaim Company.
I make the motion to approve Bryn Coed payment recommendation number 8 to Reclaim Company in the amount of $43,937.50.
I'll second the motion. Discussion, Brian, please.
So with this payment, the contract will be at 92.52%. There's 2 items that left in the contract are the site restoration and then the demobilization. everything else as far as the demolition itself is complete. So they're down to just getting the site stabilized, final graded and seeded, and so we get the grass growing. That's what's
And
left.
what was that, the second thing you mentioned, D?
Demobilization, removing their equipment.
Oh, okay.
There's one of the, that's the only other item that has some, they're 50%, they bill the township 50% of the fee, which is to bring everything to the site. 50% is to take everything back to West Virginia. So
Right, okay.
that's where they're at with this. So they had literally, were 92.5%, 92.52% of the contract value with this payment.
Thank you.
Any
Did
discussion?
sound a little military, didn't it?
Yeah. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Number 17, approval of proposal for the televising CMP on Houndstooth Lane.
This is going to be fun. They're going to have to tell us what all these letters stand for. I make the motion to approve the proposal of YQS based on the hourly rate of $275 per hour for the televising of CMP on Houndstooth Lane.
I'll
Someone
second the
told me
motion.
what that CMP stood for, but I've forgotten already.
That CMP stands for corrugated metal pipe.
Thank you.
This is a, recall, there's a sinkhole in the property, metal pipe, we believe is deteriorated underneath and causing the sinkhole. We'd like to have it televised, find out what the extent of the damage in that reach of pipe. I think it's like 150 feet. Once it's televised, have it cleaned and determine what action we need to stabilize the pipe. There's a couple of methods they could use, slip lining or something to that similar thing. Put a sock in there and it then becomes the pipe after it's treated. This is a very inexpensive project compared to digging up yards and driveways and road and laying a new piece of pipe. If we're successful in doing this, we're going to recommend we televise all the corrugated metal pipe that's in subdivisions of the township, because every piece will eventually rust out on the bottom, and you'll have this similar issue going forward. And if we can slip line this pipe, you'll extend the lifetime of not doing any work in those subdivisions for a very long period of time.
John, do you have any sense of how old this piece of corrugated pipe is?
Brian, do you know?
The plans are from the early 80s. So it's 30 years approximately. If I can give me a second, I can actually look at the plan here.
That's about the life.
Yeah.
25 to 30 years. It rusts out from road salt, essentially what happens. I'm sure that there is a gaping hole in the bottom of this, the circle. And that's just what happens with this style of pipe. So if we can, rather than dig it up, if we can slip line it and stabilize it, we'll solve a problem like this going forward.
And so you'll be inspecting in both directions from the sinkhole that's there, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And Dave Weber like this, we'll eventually we'll get some good video of this and put it on a website to show exactly the extent of the damage and why we're doing this kind of work.
Okay. Learn something all the time, huh?
Yep. Brian, are you still looking for us there? Or?
Give me 1 second. The plan is open in front of me now. I just want to see what the date is on the scan.
Okay.
So yeah, so corrugated metal pipe, PennDOT says is about 25 years. This drawing is from 1988. So we've exceeded the 25 to 40 year limit. We're maxed out on these pipes. This is the Hounds. So.
Yep. Okay. Very good.
Yes.
Michelle, any other discussion? Seeing none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Number 18, authorization of a speed study by traffic engineer on Beaver Hill Road.
I make the motion to authorize a speed study by a traffic engineer on Beaver Hill Road.
I'll second the motion.
I would like to discuss tabling this until Mike is here to talk about it with us.
I agree.
Thank you.
Just as a matter of explanation, I know that it's come up that the police department has done a road study on Beaver Hill Road. Most of Beaver Hill Road, you can't travel more than 15 miles an hour. It's just too dangerous. And the study, unfortunately, was done on a paved area, which there isn't much paved area on Beaver Hill. And it came back at a rate that would be much too dangerous for, I would say, probably 90% of Beaver Hill Road. And so in order for the township to lower the speed limit below what their study came up with, we would have to hire an independent engineer to do a speed study. So not knowing what that cost would be, John, do you have any sense of what it might be? John Granger?
No, I don't. Sorry.
Okay. So I don't know what the chief has in mind, if he has someone in particular who will do this.
Well, I believe the township has a traffic engineer. I would approach him on it.
Okay. All right, very good. Okay, so let's table this till next meeting.
And then we have agenda number 19 that may not be on your copy.
Approval of escrow release for Orange Realty.
That's the one. I make a motion to authorize escrow release number 1 in the amount of $97,021.88 to the Orange Realty Group.
And I'll second that motion.
Yes, so Orange Realty Group, which is working on the dentist office there at 1024 Pottstown Pike, they posted escrow with the township. I believe this was going back to early 2019 when the escrow was posted. Their escrow they provided the township was in the amount of $126,462.68. They've requested their first release from the township. Arrow has performed the site observations and verifications for the quantities as requested, and we're recommending that the township, based on work completed through October 13th, release $97,021.88 to the applicant, relieving a balance in the escrow with the township of $29,440.80.
Thank you, Brian.
Any discussion?
I'm not seeing anything.
Not seeing any. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now we come to the public comment on non-agenda items only.
Oh, Barry, hang on. Barry, you have to unmute yourself. There we go.
Got me?
Yep.
Okay, so from Brian, just to let you know, since they weren't able to get on, he tried 3 different ways on his Vonage phone. He tried his phone via Google Hangouts and video on a Fire tablet. He said nothing asked him for ID. It's the same way he's done it for months. All he heard was a few gongs types of tones, and that's all. Maria Jacobs also couldn't get on.
I have, Barry, there's a message that when they get into the waiting room, and I was repeatedly stating over this message. I just kept clip and pasting it.
The message would not necessarily be visible on the phone.
That was my question to Kathy.
We'll have to check that out and try and rectify that communication issue at the next meeting. I understand the technical part of it. We're not prepared to answer that right this minute, but it's an issue that we will need to address for the next meeting as soon as
I
possible.
told Brian in an email that we're a work in progress.
Brian,
Told you nobody'd know.
Barry, how did Maria try to get in? Do you know?
I don't know that.
See, I saw Maria, and I put a message. If she was using a laptop or an iPad or whatever, a message should have popped up for her saying, "I need first and last name."
I don't know that. I just got this information that she wasn't able to get in. I got it
Okay.
firsthand. So,
Okay, that's why it wasn't. these meetings that keep getting hacked. So,
Use Chinese software, get Chinese goods. That's all I can tell you about Zoom. There's a lot more secure ones out there. You just got to pay a little bit more.
You want to send us some recommendations, Barry?
Certainly will.
Send them to office@westvincentTWP.org.
I will do that tomorrow morning.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, and thank you.
Any other comment?
I'm not.
I just have a quickie, and that is time of year is coming that the supervisors are going to be looking at the appointments for the advisory committees next year. We're aware of some vacancies that we will have, and so we'd like to spread the word to people who might like to serve on the Planning Commission, Parks and Rec, Sustainability, EAC, etc. Thank you.
Ken has his hand up.
Ken Allen?
Yes.
Yeah,
Hi.
thanks, Michelle. Hi. Several months ago, I sent a letter to the supervisors requesting the possibility of lowering the speed limit on Horseshoe Trail from Dewey's down to St. Matthews. And just wanted to see if there's been any consideration or discussion about that.
I think we need Chief to answer that question.
We'll look into it.
Did you get?
I'll talk with the sergeant tomorrow, and the chief when he gets back from vacation. We'll check it out.
Thanks, John.
Yep.
Thanks, Ken.
And Ken, I know that I have your contact information. Does the township?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, very good. All right. Anything else?
I could make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Good night.
Bernie. Good job. Kathy, Michelle, thanks for being our gatekeepers.
You're welcome.
And Peter,
Good night.
nice to
Good night,
see
all.
you. Good night, everybody. Good to see you too, Ken. And Barry, what island is that?
He logged off.
Yeah,
It's a background you can put.
I've seen it, a lot of other people in that place. So,
Yeah.
Peter, thank you. If you want to call tomorrow, I'll be happy to chat. Okay. So,
Well, we didn't get anybody jumping in.
no?
No.
Interesting.
I can understand the calling user for Brian.
Hey, Dorothy, could you give me a call tomorrow?
You know, probably he
But
needs.
I don't
You know-
understand Maria though. Like if she was,
She had to be on an iPad.
so why wouldn't the message come up? That's very strange.
Thank you.
I don't know, unless she just didn't want to, give her whole name. Like she had said Maria, I saw it.
Yeah, me too. But then I said first and last name.
Yeah, and I guess she didn't want to, and
Get that.
so,
Sergeant Russell, thanks for coming.
I don't know. But as far as the phone calls, I don't know. It doesn't really, when you look at all the security stuff, it doesn't really address that part of it, like with the phone calls, how to handle them.
Night, Harry.
A lot of people don't have computers or don't know how to use computers or whatever.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
but Brian and Barry and Maria do know how.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Austin. Take care.
Oh, wait, is he trying to get?
Right.
Hello.
He
Okay.
just waved. I thought he was saying goodnight, but maybe he
well,
wants to
Hey,
talk.
no, I just wanted to say that when I got on, that message was there.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was there.
Okay.
And also, Sarah, about the Mr. Allen, that
Mhm.
be a speed study. It's probably going to be several. That's a really long part of Horseshoe Trail he's talking
Oh,
about.
yeah, all the way from Dewey's. That's kind of
Yeah.
crazy. There's
That's
several
no problem.
different.
We'll talk to Mike Hoga and we'll set up the box to see what happens.
The chief has the message that I got from Ken originally, and I think he wants to put it down to 15 or something. No speed study is going to get him that, which is pretty much what the story is on Beaver Hill Road. The speed study came in and Bernie would like a different answer. So,
I understand it's, most people or everyone, it's very hard to travel quickly down dirt roads, regardless of curbs. It's just, you don't have the traction. As far as Horseshoe Trail, I know that West Pikeland, they're at 25. I don't know. We could do the studies and see if we could get to that, but it would require the study. So.
yep, they've caught me once there with that change from R35 to their 25.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But they just gave me a warning. They might be nicer than the West Vincent police. The last ticket I got was from the West Vincent police.
Really?
Not my first one ever, but my first one ever in West Vincent.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
it's okay. The police were right. Good night, Harriet.
good night.
Good night, all.
Good
Okay.
night, Sergeant Russell. Take care.
Good night.
Yeah.
Good night.
Be safe, everybody.
Okay, see you tomorrow.
And since Brian wasn't here, he didn't stay on till the end. So Kathy, I think he was both call-in one and the iPad.
And the iPad.
And call in two. We have two caller in. Two,
I know, but one time
and two.
there was one and then two came in and he spoke from number 2 one time. So
Yeah.
we'll
Now,
see.
and see iPad, they could change, they would be able to change and put their name.
That's what I figured. I mean, if you're on an iPad, it's like you're on a laptop.
Yes.
Well, I never figured
Yeah.
out how to do mine, but one of you fixed me. So thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Have a
so-
good night. Just Larry's gone one way, Harriet's gone the other. Just turn us all off. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
We'll
Okay.
see you.
Have a good the rest of the evening, and I'll come over probably tomorrow afternoon to sign checks.
Okay.
Okay, we'll see you then.
Thanks.
Good night.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh.
See you, Michelle.